Thank you for Patreon now for donating to the Patreon.
Hey guys, it's Vanity. Back in the Card Fight Vanguard deck profile. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe, and sorry. This time we're covering Dragon Empire DZ Set 1 Triumph Dragon. So originally I wasn't going to do any of the quick start decks as deck profiles for Set 1. Then after having enough time to free record them and just saying F it and build decks for them, I realized how much better they are with like the support, because I wasn't going to do it because they only got like what 1 to 3 cards of support each, and I really didn't think they'd be that much better, but they are, and especially Triumph, because I wish Triumph, I could say come alive at 5, as in like come alive at turn 5, but it doesn't. It comes to life at turn 4. I wish it was 1 turn later just so I could make that joke. But let's go into the deck profile start we got, because honestly I hated Triumph Dragon when it was first released. I made it very clear that he was my least favorite, and up until Custodios was released, and then Triumph Dragon suddenly became the starting reason of why I thought all these decks were going to be pretty decent. So let's go into the start shot and see what we got. First up, we have our energy generator. So the standard ride deck crest that every deck has now. Auto ride deck, when you ride, put this card into your crest zone. If you win second, you energy charge 3, which is very important because for all of these quick start decks, the main Vanguard takes up 4 energy, so you need all the energy you can get for them. And then continuously, you may have just 10 energies, and auto at the beginning of your ride phase, energy charge 3, and then act once per turn, energy boss 7, draw a card. You would never use that skill. You would never use it to draw a card, especially in Triumph Dragon, because again, on turn 4, you come to life, and you need 4 energy for that to happen, and typically the 7 might F you over. So you never use that to draw unless you absolutely have to, and next turn you can kill. But either way though, it's nice to have like the free energy charge every turn. It's a very nice card to have and definitely helps set up for the late game, so nice card. And then, of course, we have our starter in Heated Blade, a Dart, grade 0 boost, 5k shields, 6k base, auto roll confidence, I can draw a card. Standard starter, nuts about it. None of the ride line really requires this card, but as we will come to see with the triggers, I chose to run the same line of cards that are related to their respective divine skill unit with them, because all the divine skill units have more or less the same starter and triggers as the quick start deck bosses, so I just chose to keep the starter the same as well. Then of course we have our triggers, Dragon DD King of Resurgence Drag Beta, grade 0 boost, 50k shield, 5k power, over trigger in your deck, reveals that trigger with the card, draw a card, choose one mutants, I guess plus 1 for the turn, and if you able to generate draw check, activate its addition effect, which you get to choose whatever Vanguards to stand it. All around pretty solid. Guarantee 1 million to draw, whether you draft check or damage check, it means something is hitting that turn, something is not hitting that turn, and when you have a full front row of double criticals, something hitting that turn is pretty impressive, but also the fact that it can stand the Vanguard. Now, something I learned with this version of the deck, Triumph Dragon does not get to keep the extra crit for the turn, he keeps it for the battle, but if by some miracle of God you pull this and you still have another 4 energy, when the Vanguard swings, you can just do it again to get another extra crit in 5k. All-around Drag Veda is pretty solid in this deck, again, especially when you hit turn 4 where everything on the front row is going to have a crit, because if you restand even the Vanguard, even if you don't get the extra crit with the Vanguard, you are guaranteeing your opponent has to take it if your opponent can guard anything, or if your opponent can't guard everything, because they have to take the most dangerous attack because it could possibly flip over crits, but it's also the safest attack currently because it's the only one that doesn't have a double crit on it. So Drag Vade all around is pretty solid, adds a lot of pressure on the offense, and is really cool to see. So one of in the main deck, obviously. Then, of course, we have our normal triggers. 3 of Flare Veil, grade 0 boost, 5k shield, 4k base, draw James Guard Circle, opponent's Vanguards are grade 3 or greater, 5k shield. So 10k shield, very nice to have. It's also draw triggers helps increase our hand, which we definitely want to see because we want to see all of our pieces for when we hit turn 4. To be more exact, you only need 2, because one of them is the Vanguard, and you're obviously going to get to the Vanguard anyways. So you only need 1 grade 3, specifically Strife Command, and you're only going to need Opal, and to some extent you're obviously going to need a Persona Eye, but considering the fact that Persona Eye is searchable, you're fine. So you really only need 2 extra cards, so Flare Veil helps search them, kind of. And then, of course, we have our 8 crits and Wicked Beast Suno Sagori, grade 0 boost, 50k shield, 5k power. This can be any crit, but again, I chose the same line that Varga had because Varga is the respective divine skill for this deck, so obviously I chose the same crit. And then 4 Burning Flow Dragon. Grade 0 boost, 15k shield, 4k power, critical trigger, auto rear guard, then about this unit boosted. Put a soul, choose one music, 2k for the turn. This deck does not have a soul problem. It could, in theory, run into it, but at that point, like, you would have to be playing the game long enough to where you've probably missed a few wins, or both you and your opponent are refusing to die by every means conceivable. So having the extra 2k can sometimes make a difference, but also just more crits to have, because again, we want crit pressure. Even if our entire front row has crits at turn 4, we want to make sure they are at 4 damage so everything is suddenly lethal. Or so, if we restand the Vanguard and we don't have the extra crit again, we can just try to pull more crits in the draft. Either way, we have the 8 crits for that. And then, of course, we have 4 heals in Gentle Breeze, Dragon, Dino Breeze, grades of boost, 15k shield, 5k power. Again, it can be any heal. You can even use the counter heals if you want to. Personally, I don't like the counter heals too much. I feel like they're too situational. But being able to, have the same heals, the Varga Dragos deck just makes it fun. Anyway, let's move on to the actual normies now. First, we're running 3 copies of A card I swear was going to be bad. I was so confident it was going to be horrible, and yet this thing has been pulling weight in both this deck and Varga, and that is Stealth Dragon Kuden Musubi. Grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base, auto wins the card from your hand during your ride phase, and may call this card to rearguard as rest. Everyone shat on the Youthberg, Leonord, and Jeweled versions that came in their respective trial decks, and in the quick start deck ones, you'd think these are arguably worse because while yes they have normal power bases for grade 1s, they get called as rest, meaning they're useless the turn that they are called. However, getting a free rear guard and turning that ride deck discard into this has been really useful. Getting a free superior call and an extra rear guard definitely helps, especially in the early game when you're going first, because again, you want to put your opponent to 4 damage as fast as possible. Having a free rear guard, you can just stand the next turn when your opponent's still at grade 1, move it to front row and swing with it. Either puts on pressure for guarding or puts on pressure for more damage. Kuden Musubi, very solid card, nice 3-up for this deck. Also works for budget options too. Then we have 3 copies of a card that I thought was going to be horrible, and the main reason why I didn't want to build these in the first place, and then maybe completely wrong. Dancing Princess of Beautiful Flames, Orpha. Grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base, auto rear guard circle once per turn. When this unit boosts a rear guard, if you persona road this turn, by card bossing 1, choose one of your units until end of the turn. It gets auto vanguard or rear guard at the end of that attack. This unit loses, I don't know why it says auto vanguard or rear guard when it specifically has to boost a rear guard. This skill was pulled straight from the fandom, so that doesn't make sense, but, oh no, it picks any unit, not just the vanguard. But anyways, this unit loses 2 crit until end of turn, and then increase or decrease its critical to 2 at that moment. So, pretty much, Triumph Dragon's always guaranteed to get a crit. The grade 3 that we have, for those of you that don't know, Strife command, that is always guaranteed to get a crit, mostly, on turn 4. And Orpha guarantees another critical. Basically, if you have 4 EB, you have one Soul Blast at the very least, and probably have used up at least 1 CB, so 2 CB in total. That entire game, you have enough to kill your opponent if they're at 4 damage if they let any attack through. Orpha is all around a very solid grade 1 because while yes, she doesn't come alive until you Persona Ride, the second you Persona Ride, again, if the opponent is at grade 4, 4 damage, so much pressure is put on them. I've been on the receiving end of this. It is very annoying. 3 of Orpha, very solid grade 1. Then we have 4 copies of Stealth Dragon Fuchi Moka. Grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base. Contains rear guard or guard circle. If your opponent drops on 4 or more cards in it, very easy to hit in this deck. It gets 2,000 power and 5k shield. If there are 8 or more cards, it gets plus 5,000 shield after on player's turns. So being a 10k base is solid. You don't really need it that much, but again, early game rush with Kuden, very solid card to have. And then, you know, the extra shield definitely helps you keep alive until that Persona Ride turn, where you could possibly kill someone with the Opal Strafe Command combo. So yeah, definitely for Fuchi, just a very solid card to have, and we all like it very much so for of. Then, of course, we have Guardian Monk of Raging Flames, Monju. Grade 1 boost, 0 souls, K base, continuous sentinel. You may have only 4 cards in your deck. I was playing guard circle. Choose one of your units that cannot be hit in the battle. If your hand is stream of cards in, choose a card from this card, and PG and splat it. Basically means that this only 1 card is placed on guard circle. You don't guard one's great, because that means you can be as aggressive as you want in the early game. And again, you want to push them to 4 as fast as possible, so that when your opponent counterattacks you and you have only 1 card in your hand, PG, don't have to drop anything, you're safe. All around, Moju is a very solid PG to have. You can run Twin Buckler, you can run Spark Projector Dragon, they all have the same skill, but I prefer Moju because he came out close to the time of the release of Triumph Dragon, so yeah. Then, of course, we have our last grade 1, would have been the ride deck, not in the main deck, sadly, and that's Roaring Flame Beast Caralior. Grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base, auto when it's rode upon by Roaring Thunder Beast, Kitsen Raise, Energy Blast 2 to draw a card, and then continues rear guard during your turn. If you have a grade 3 grade advantage of Triumph Dragon's card name, it gets 1,000 power. So 13k on rear guard is nice, and the reason why I don't run it in the main deck is actually because of that reason, because that skill is good. It's a 13k base. The reason why I don't run it in the main deck is because I know I will turn that into offense rush as soon as I get the chance, because that's what I did when I did run him in the main deck, and every single effing time I overcommitted and it cost me the game. I know, and I know that, and that's why I choose not to run in the main deck, because I know if I run in the main deck, I know I'm going to commit the offense too much. So I'm smart enough to know my own weakness and put in the right deck. Also, the Energy Blast skill sometimes will screw you and sometimes will help you, because again, it's a free draw to replace in the ride deck, and when you have Kuden, that's just replace the ride deck even more. But the issue is it could put you back on your Energy Blast counter a little bit, so be wary of when you use the Energy Blast too. You don't always have to use it, but I have discovered taking out the extra offense that I had in the main deck, aka this, it actually benefited me more to do the Energy Blast, because I just didn't spend as much energy. That doesn't make sense, does it? That me holding back on the offense has saved me energy. It doesn't make sense. Just because I added more cards that take energy. But you know, we'll get to that later. One of in the right deck. Then move on to our grade 2s. First, of course, we start off with our 2 orders, and the only reason why this deck should ever have a Soul Blast problem, and that is a Serious Fight grade 2 normal order played by Soul Blasting 1. Choose an opponent's front or rear guard, murder it. At the end of that turn, discard a hand card, choose a copy of this from your drops, and put it in hand. You would never use that second effect. You have plenty of soul in this deck unless you are spamming Strife command 24/7, and at that point I question what your plan is, because the whole point is to use one Strife command, Opal, the grade 2 preferably, that benefits from rear guards being killed, and then Triumph Dragon. But if you're spamming Strife command 24/7, you will run into a soul problem very quickly. But a Serious Fight, you just use it to kill a rear guard, and if you really need the ditch to add it back to hand, you can use it. But you really don't need to. To be fair with you, I literally forgot this card was in the deck because I have yet to draw it while playing the deck. Like, I swear it wasn't in here, but I know I put it in here because I remember in the original version, Beat Up was in here, the card that can search this, and then I took out Beat Up when I was adding in Opal, and then, or Orpha, and then I just kept this in because I had space for it. So 2 of a Serious Fight is not a bad card, it's just that you don't really need it. It's kind of like a tech option, but hey, free rear guard kill is free rear guard kill. Then move on to 4 copies of the card I was the most concerned about, because A, it eats at CB, B, it eats at energy, so I just assumed it would be bad. It's not, actually. It's also the reason why I won a game. So Drag Ritter Farot, grade 2 and 5k shield, 10k base, auto when put on guard circle from the hand or ditch from hand while riding from ride deck. You can counter boss 1 or energy blast 3 to draw a card, and auto when placed on rear guard circle of your persona this turn, counter boss 1 or energy blast 3, choose a grade 1 without sentinel from your drop zone, call it to back or rear guard circle. So worst comes to worst, it's Persona Ride skill. If your opponent's also playing a board new deck, or you just had to discard all your Orphas last turn, you can call it during the turn you Persona Ride, call back Orpha, and as long as you have a Strife command, you have the combo back online, which is pretty solid. On the other hand, it also works as ride deck fodder to possibly get you draws. You can afford to eat into the CB a little bit because typically you only need 1 CB for the Orpha turn, and you technically only need 1. I mean, you could use 2 if you want to use Triumph Dragon Skill, another 10k. So typically you're using up about 3 CB, 4 CB a game, which isn't really that bad, especially when we just don't calculate in heal triggers, which could technically countercharge you. So, but being able to draw a card and replace ride deck is pretty solid. Also, the fact that he gets the draw when placed on guard circle, which is even more important because while yes, you can't eat into the energy because it will F you over with Triumph Dragon, even the Energy Blast 2 does it, so definitely Energy Blast 3 will fuck you over. But the draw can help you. It wasn't this one that saved me, but it was, I think it was the Brancate one or the Dark States one where I needed to draw PG and it gave me the PG. Like, if I had anything else in my hand that didn't draw, I was dead. So Farhot, or at least an iteration of Farhot, saved me, and it's just a good card, so 4 of, he deserves a spot in this deck. I didn't like him originally, and honestly, he's pretty good. So there's my take on him. Then we have 4 copies of the other half of the combo that involved Orpha, or the preferred half. This is not the required card, it's just preferred to have it on the board, but it doesn't do anything extra for the combo outside of add numbers, and that is Strong Strike Dragon Spinal Assaulter. Grade 2 and 5k shield, 10k base, auto rear guard once per turn when your opponent's rear guard is retired by your grade 3 or greater Vanguard's ability. It gets plus 10,000 power for that turn. So 20k base, pretty solid, and again, when you can double crit the entire front row, that's also pretty solid. Not to mention the fact you can get a unit with triple crit if you are spamming Strife command left, right, and center. I don't recommend that. I prefer double crit spam, but if your opponent's sitting at 3 damage because I saw it coming, yeah, maybe go the triple crit route. But for Spinal Assaulter, very good when the opponent's at 4 damage and you do the double crit play, and even when you don't, it's a nice 20k beat stick when your opponent's rear guard dies thanks to Triumph Dragon. So for Spinal Assaulter, not a bad grade 2, just nice to have. Then we have 1 of in the ride deck, 3 of in the main deck of Roaring Thunder Beast Kitsen. So grade 2 5k shield, 10k base, a very solid grade 2 in terms of defending. I swear it's on this deck at 3 of in the main deck at least, because I don't remember seeing it that often, but maybe I just didn't see it that often. Auto wrote upon by a grade 3 card, Triumph Dragon's card name. You call this card to rear guard circle. If you did not call, energy charge 3. So it's cool that you can choose to call it if you don't want, or if you don't want to, you get a free energy charge, and typically that's what you do with this deck, because again, you want to spam Triumph Dragon as much as possible and have possible other options to use Farhot's draw skill, because sometimes the CB can come back to bite you, especially if your opponent knows what's coming and they're trying to CB starve you. And then the other skills continues guard circle if you have a grade 3 greater Vanguard Triumph Dragon's card name, plus 10k shield. Again, whole point of this deck, make it to the Persona Ride turn, kill your opponent when they're at 4 damage with 3 front row units of double critical. It doesn't sound that easy, it kinda is. Because even if you don't kill them, you are forcing out enough cards consistently to where you are probably winning on the next turn unless your opponent kills you before then. So it it sounds more simple than actually, well, it sounds simple and most people probably won't believe it, but I promise you that's like how it works. Either way, though, getting the extra shield is definitely helpful for surviving to those turns, especially if you're aggroing as aggressive as I do. And then not to mention the fact that if you have enough energy to, not afford to energy charge, you can just free call this to rear guard and get an extra 10k shield on board, or an extra rear guard that you can save a hand card on. Either way, very nice card to have. 3 of them in the main deck, 1 of them in the ride deck. Then we have 4 copies of the other important half of this combo. Again, Spinal Assault is not required, but you do need Orpha for this, and you do need Strife Command for this. So grade 3 to personal 13k base, or I mean, technically you don't need Strife Command, you technically just need 2 Orphas, but it is preferred to have both, just so it's more consistent. Anyway, Strife Command, grade 3 to personal 13k base. Auto when placed on rear guard circle from hand. If you have a grade 3 or grade Vanguard Tribe Dragon's card name, counter boss want to draw a card. I don't understand how this deck doesn't have a CB problem. I really don't. Like, the CB seems to work out so perfectly. Like, it flows so well. Use up the exact amount you need to, and it just doesn't go over it. I don't know why. It just feels that way. And then auto rear guard when the unit attacks by soul blasting any one card until end of battle, he gets plus 5,000 power. And then if you soul blast a grade 3 or grade card of Trap Dragon's card name for the cost, it gets plus 1 crit. So you don't really call this until turn 4 because you're afraid your opponent's going to murder it, unless you have extra copies in hand, but then by all means go ahead, but typically you want to keep those extra copies as PG fodder, But when you get to Persona Ride turn, you call Strife Command, you have the extra Soul of Triumph Dragon. Now you swing with this, you Soul Blast like Strife Command, it's an 18k, 28k because you Persona Ride obviously, with a double crit, and then your Vanguard's double crit, and then hopefully your Spinal Assault boosted by Orpha is 38 possibly, double critical. So yeah, you're just swinging for crits on crits on crits. So Strike Command is all around a very good grade 3. Again, you can play him beforehand to be an 18k swinger, but I like to wait him out just in case I need to save him for discard fodder, and I don't want my opponent killing him because I don't want them stopping me from trying to kill them if they're at 4 damage. If they're not at 4 damage yet and you know you need to push with everything you have and the only option is to call Strife Command, call it, because the most important thing is you get them to 4, but if you can hit 4 without it, then unless your opponent guards everything, which would also be ideal because they're guarding everything, then yeah, don't call Strife Command. But 4 of him, just very good card, can help you get hand cards and can just get numbers and crit pressure. Then we have last card in the deck, 3 of in the main deck, 1 of in the right deck, a Roaring Thunder Dragon, Triumph Dragon. I remember where his name was just something Thunder Dragon, Triumph Dragon, then his name was Rousing Thunder Dragon, Triumph Dragon, now it's Roaring Thunder Dragon, Triumph Dragon. And take a shot, how many times I said the word dragon in that, like, one sentence. Anyways, grade 3 Trapper, 13k base, active Vanguard Circle, once per turn, the skill shared by all the demo deck ride lines. Counter boss one search after 1 card with the same card name as this unit, reveal, put it to your hand and shuffle your deck, and this unit boosts 1,000 power for that turn. So you don't have to add something to get the 10k, you get a 10k regardless, but being able to get a Persona Ride search is very good, especially important with all these Persona Ride users or cards that want the extra copies in Soul, just saying. And then its other skill is Auto Vanguard, when he attacks a Vanguard. Energy boss 4, choose one of your opponent's rear guards, murder it, gets plus 5,000 power, plus 1 critical to the battle. I remember the reason why I used to hate this is because unlike the rest of the bosses, well, okay, first up, I used it once before we saw the other bosses. It felt way too hefty being Energy Boss 4, but then also when the other bosses got revealed outside of Cristonios, it felt really bad because it was the only one that didn't give 4 attacks, again, outside of Cristonios. But now, when, again, consistent way to give the entire front row double critical thanks to Strife Command and Opha over here, and then, push the opponent to 4 damage consistently and not die from it, kind of gives balance. In fact, the only downside I hate about this now is the fact that it doesn't last for the battle, simply because I have pulled the over twice now on that same turn. One time I won the game, the other time I didn't, and it was simply on the virtues that he doesn't keep the crit for the turn. So yeah, but either way though, very solid grade 3. He kills rear guards, he gets extra crit and power, he can search other copies, he can get 10k. He pretty much sets up the entire combo deck, which is something I love about these quick start deck ride lines. Like, again, used to hate them, but they're very simplistic in the Persona Ride support they gave them. It doesn't make the deck feel like it's too Persona Ride reliant, because they can still do stuff outside of Persona Riding, but even if they can't, you can consistently get to Persona Rides unless your opponent is actively making you get rid of every card in your hand every single turn. So 3 of Triumph Dragon in the ride deck, or main deck, 1 of in the ride deck. Very nice card to have. Easy search fodder, easy rear guard murder, extra crit pressure, everything that's good about it. Now, that's it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. All around, this deck is actually fun to play. Again, Triumph Dragon was the one I hated the most. The only tie with Cristonios, and I love both of them now, but the only other one I think I like more than either of them is Sarvaso. So the 2 I hated the most are the ones that I find one of the most fun to play in DZ Set 1. That comes to show you that I'm not bullshitting, I'm being like legit dead serious, because I made it very clear that I hate those 2. So I suggest giving this deck out a try. It's just really fun to play. It gets the job done consistently. Push your opponent to 4, watch the deck go face on Persona Ride turn. So without further ado, I'm just one here. Hope you guys enjoy. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, follow Twitch, and I'll see you all in the next one. Don't forget to stand up your Vanguards.